You're listening to the Ballet Piano Podcast, lifting the lid on dance accompaniment.
Hello listeners, how are you? I hope you're all okay. Here I am, I'm Chris Hobson. To my left, as always, is the beautiful Akiko Hobson.
Thank you, husband.
To her left is the effervescent David Yao.
Hello, everybody.
And
Oh
opposite
God, what's
me,
my adjective? Oh no.
And opposite me is Mark Gregory. Hello.
Hello, listeners.
So we've bulk recorded a few episodes, as you know, and today's is a fun one. It's a Q&A, isn't it, Matt?
Yes.
Have you got any?
Yes. I've got a couple of questions. Oh, actually, I've got quite a few.
Lucky you.
Shall I just fire away?
You fire off onto us. Here we go.
No, this came in from somebody called Esther Herzog on Instagram. And she told me this lovely long anecdote about a rehearsal of something. But the question is, this is sort of more for you, David.
Oh.
You know, when dancers are coming onto stage from left and right, and
Yes.
the lines have to cross each other.
Oh, right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, overcrossing.
And one goes in front of the other, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
In which order is there a rule of who crosses in front of who?
In terms of stagecraft, you normally, stage left goes in front of stage right, unless it's choreographically done the opposite way. But usually, if anybody just says cross, it's always left in front of right.
And do all dancers just know that?
Yes, they're taught that.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is it a bit like when you're driving and you're at a
folklore.
roundabout, always give way to your right-hand side?
Exactly, yes. It's the same
okay.
thing. Yeah.
Is it just only for ballet? Does it apply like, a contemporary dance or like musical theatre?
Maybe.
Oh, good question.
Yeah.
I think it must be the same. Well, not
Yeah.
quite sure.
I guess so.
I'll ask that. I'll find that out for you.
We'll stick the answer on the socials.
Yes.
And this was a question. This is from me actually, and it's about promenade.
Aha.
Because I was thinking about this the other day. Obviously, I watch teachers when they're teaching as I'm playing. And obviously a teacher sort of put promenade in an exercise. And how many pivots are there in a promenade? Is it as many as possible?
Whenever anybody says the word pivot, I still think of Ross from Friends and that sofa going up the stairs from about 15, 20 hours. Pivot!
But you know what I mean, though?
I do. It depends. And realistically, the whole magic about a pivot or a promenade when it was first done was it was like watching something. You know, when you go to a Chinese restaurant and you have the lazy Susan.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That was the idea that nobody can understand. That your audience is not supposed to understand how you do it.
Yeah.
So if you do too many, then it's going to look as though you're going to give the game away. So it's supposed to be inadvertently that you're just turning around on the spot, very, very magically, I guess. So if you've got a long time, then maybe put more in. If you've got less time to do it, then maybe do less actually pivots, and you travel more.
Yeah.
Depends on
So
the
is
thing.
it sort of dictated by the music almost
Yes,
sometimes?
it does.
And the counts?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. I've got some more questions from Diana Savalas. And she says, this is open to everybody. How is the phrasing different in a slow waltz played for rondejambe, fondue, plie, adage, or port de bras? Are they different in articulation? Or are jeté, frappe, or the quick movement? How are they different musically?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think as I approach it from a music perspective, I try and make the music follow what the dancers are doing in terms of articulation. So if you're doing a frappe, say, frappe means, because I learned this from David, it means to strike, doesn't it, David?
Yay,
I know
top
fondue
marks.
means to melt. Frappe means to strike. Rondejambe is rounding of the leg.
How long have you
Top
been playing for ballet?
18 years, I think.
Goodness me.
Wow.
I know.
Gosh.
It literally started when I was a fetus. So with a frappe, I would usually, most frappes are going to be on something like a really sprightly 2/4 or a coda, because that's the rhythm that goes with it, and it will be da 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 dun dun. So da dun da dun da 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 dum, Trish polka or something like that.
Yeah.
Or any of the codas, Swan Lake, dun 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 dun, or Bayadere or something. It's perfect for your articulation. It helps the dancers as well feel where the beat is. So if you listen to the teacher really carefully, you can actually plan from your index cards of codas and sprightly 2/4s which one is almost like perfectly curated for that frappe exercise. And it's the same as we talked about in a previous episode with thinking about the accents for the tondu. Is it on the out? Is it on the upbeat or is it on the downbeat? How do you do that? And it's the same with rondejams and things like that as well. It's a rondejam it's effectively, I call them in my little mental note size, I call it a lazy waltz because it's so slow usually, but you've got to have something that I don't know, that encompasses a rounding of the leg. So I mean, like if you listen back to the rondejam episode, we do talk about what we play, and it's always stuff that's, I don't know, at its most basic level, round in nature, isn't it? We talked about that. I mean, I know you hate it, Matt, the La La thing, but that Mia and Sebastian.
Did I say that?
Yes, the Mia and the Sebastian theme, that da 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 da. It's got stuff that goes around. Oh, the Godfather waltz or something like that it's just leads it, and there's breath in it sometimes as well.
And everything we play for adage, anything for a slow 3/4. It's very smooth, it's very legato, very circular. There's lots of round edges in the music. There's nothing sharp. Unless, for example, you're playing something like a saraband, which is slow, but there's a little bit of accent.
Yeah. It's the same as like usually like, your warm-up jump, say, is going to be a 2/4, usually. Something like a rag or something like that, isn't it? It's not going to be a heavier, sort of like more languid 6/8. Unless it was David's assessment class last year where he did the world's slowest mazurka. Do you remember that?
It worked.
It did work.
I mean, David uses music to effect. So
yeah. And it's actually,
always,
I know I'm taking the mickey a little bit, but it's done for a reason. It's done for a training reason.
Yeah.
Like in a normal company class or an open class, something like that, it wouldn't happen.
No.
Did we answer the question? I went off on a right tangent. I'm sorry.
So.
I can't actually remember what the question was.
It was a difference in musicality and articulation from slow music to quick music.
As long as it matches with the emphasis of the movement.
Yeah,
Totally,
as long as it enhances the movement and the choreography, I think you're onto a winner.
Yeah.
Here's what, do you think, Matt or Akiko, you could accompany a ballet class if you were blind? To the same level that you do with sight?
Oh, gosh.
Because I've thought about this, how much you actually listen. Now, thinking back, because I've done a bit of reflection on the podcast recently. Thinking back to like when I basically confessed that I planned our wedding behind the piano. I realised I didn't watch a lot, but I was always listening.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it again recently. I was like, could I accompany a ballet class if I couldn't see?
Well, now because you got quite a few years of experience, by just listening to what the teacher marking, you probably can guess. But because you've got experience, but if you don't, then probably not, because you don't know how the movement should look like.
Yeah, that's true. So do you think you could do it now? It's like say you were in a room on your own and being piped into a different studio. If you could only hear what the teacher was saying, do you think you could do it?
I probably can do to the certain level, but not very good.
Wouldn't it depend on how clear they were in their marking?
I was going to say.
That's
Yeah,
true.
so if you've got somebody who can
couldn't
vocalise
see them.
Yeah.
And it's funny actually that when I can see a teacher, I like to see them setting the exercise. If there's a piano in the way or I can't see them in the mirror, I always look for them in the mirror if I can't see them.
Yeah.
I just want to see what their legs and feet are doing.
Yeah.
So if I can pick up any accent or anything that's, any nuance from the exercise. But
It's definitely-
sometimes teachers set an exercise and I literally can't see what their legs and feet are doing. And so I think, okay, I'm only hearing what they're saying.
So in any good teaching course, ballet teaching course, that's exactly what they say. They say you must be in the line of sight of your pianist or your accompanist so that they can actually see, not just hear you, because they're going to pick up much more information from your demonstration in addition to what you're saying.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. But there are teachers that don't do any of that. They just say, I want 4 of these and 3 of those, ready and that's really difficult.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, when the class was like continuous throughout the week, and then you just get on Wednesday or Thursday and teacher forgets to mark, and then you your in a situation that you can't really ask, could you mark? And you just kind of hope the best and then just try to make it work by just looking at them on the spot. So you can make it work because you got experience now, no?
Yeah.
And that's what's amazing about our team is that whenever you guys are in class and everything, and we've forgotten to do something like that, there's never a moment when you go, sorry, I don't know what you're going, because you automatically just pick up, the actual feeling of what we're doing. It's amazing.
And actually, if a teacher sets something and I really haven't heard, maybe because I'm not listening, I'll say, "Oh, could you just do that again?" And they literally, with 3 seconds of marking, I'm like, "Great,
got it,
I know what
yeah.
you need. Yeah, it's fine. That's all I needed."
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
If you're enjoying this episode, then why not visit the website balletpianopodcast.com and join the mailing list. You can access past episodes, transcripts, music playlists, and so much more. It will ensure you never miss new episodes or updates. That's balletpianopodcast.com.
Welcome back to the second half. I'm concerned
Yay!
Why?
because earlier on in the year, just for fun, I put on my personal Instagram account, if you could ask a ballet pianist anything, what would it be? And there was some responses. There weren't loads. I know people don't like me, and that's fine.
That's not true.
There was one person who went absolutely hell for leather
She went
with the
deep
question.
on you.
She went as deep as I've
Yes.
ever had anybody. It was unbelievable. And who was it?
What?
Speak. Who was it? Who sent all these questions in?
I wonder who.
Well, it came up as Akiko Hobson.
And most of the questions I put, I actually probably know the answers to.
But there's some really cool questions, actually.
Really?
Which I think which apply to all of us, and we can all sort of answer them.
Okay.
The
let's go
first
for
one
it.
is not from Akiko, but this is from Steve Cave on Instagram.
yeah.
Do you prefer class or repertoire? Which do you prefer to play for?
Depends on, for me, depends on the teacher.
Yeah.
It depends on the teacher and the rep. If it's a-
Depending on the rep.
Yeah, if it's a teacher I don't get along with amazingly well, I'd take Firebird over that teacher. But if it's, say, going playing for a class with David Yao, I'd been off Romeo and Juliet, and I love playing Romeo and Juliet. So it depends on the situation.
Or how tired you are.
If it's the end, yeah. Well, that's the thing. If it's the end of the day, do you want to actually sit and concentrate on a class for 2 hours between 4 and 6?
Yeah.
Or would you rather just read the score and play it?
Or when you're very, very tired and then we got a call of Carabas for 2 hours. I'm not sure.
This is actually works out quite nicely because I just played some auditions this week in London, and it was for Phantom of the Opera, and it was all the dancey bits from Masquerade. And it's really fast.
Masquerade.
Not that bit.
That's the only bit of Masquerade I know.
But it was loads of quick chromatic scales and arpeggios. It was really, really fast. And I thought playing, they do it in groups of 3 and there's 7 groups. That's 21 times and they all want to have to do it twice. And I thought, it was a lot of playing, those 30 odd bars. But then I compared that to playing a Grand Allegro. Over 6 hours, how many Grand Allegros do you play? And actually playing that repertoire all day was much harder. I was so tired by the end of the day.
I think repertoire, I don't know about...
It really depends on what it is, doesn't it?
I seem to put more into it, I think. Well, no, I put a lot into my class as well, but it's a different... Why did you roll your eyes at me? Is it because I sometimes... I'll send you a selfie video while I'm doing Grand Allegro and stick up 2 fingers at it or something like that, doing the peace sign or something.
Yeah, you'll be playing Grand Allegro with one hand while you're filming yourself.
What was I saying? Yeah, no, it depends, because I think... I don't know, the concentration's different for repertoire, isn't it?
Yeah, and also
even if it's stuff you've played a million times, you've still got to...
Yeah.
You can't quite autopilot it in the same way that you can do sometimes with your class playing if you're tired. You can know that you can draw on your greatest hits. And also with rep, you've got to be aware constantly that someone's going to stop you. You're watching people more than you would do in class.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like variations and stuff.
Yeah, and if the rep was quite new, and then you were quite exhausted, aren't you?
God, listen to you practice that Alice cards for your other job.
I know now.
I know
So
you know
it's
it now,
fine.
but I went walking the job and I was singing it. Bloody awful.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Shall I fire through these questions then very quickly?
Go on, get on with it.
How often do you fart behind the piano? And how often do dancers happen to be near the moment you farted?
Right. I'm presuming this was off a Kiko directed at me.
Yes.
I try not to. I did it once earlier on in 2022. I accidentally farted, but my only defense was this was on a day when I was playing in the studio for 7.5 hours and I'd not had a break for 3.5 hours.
Oh, yeah, of course. So you fart, yeah?
So I thought I could get away with it, but there was an injured dancer on the side, or a broken one, as I like to refer to them, and she was rolling around on the little
Foam roller
foam roller thing.
Yeah.
And the smell must have permeated the studio slightly because she looked at me in disgust, and I didn't know what to do. And I was like, "Oh no, I really thought I'd get away with this." So I just pulled down my mask and smiled, stuck the thumbs up, and then carried on playing.
Did she smile you back?
No, she didn't. She was horrified. So I'm sorry.
Moving on.
Hang on.
Go on.
Chris, do you remember one of the earliest stage of our relationship and you farted in front of me and what I said?
I don't remember.
Do you not remember it?
No, I don't. What did I say? What did you say? Sorry.
I said which note it was.
Oh yeah, because you've got the perfect pitch. Yeah, so I farted. You just went F.
No, it was B flat.
Or B flat. Matt, I've got one for you that came in.
Go on.
Do you still remember the original version of Maria from West Side Story? Can you actually still play it, or do you only know now your ballet version?
That's a very good question, because we all have ballet arrangements of our tunes that don't square up. It's a very interesting. I can remember it. Yeah. Because you're just adding a bar every 3 or something. Right. So yeah, I think I could.
Intermezzo from Cavalleria Rusticana. I've got no idea what the original version is because I now only know my ballet arrangement of it. Or if I hear Oasis "Don't Look Back in Anger," I have to add in. I think it's 4 bars or something like that. You've got to add in to make it square.
Yeah.
And if I hear it on the radio now, my 4 bars are missing. I sort of like twitch a little bit because it's not square. God, I really need a new career.
It's an interesting one though, isn't it? You get so used to playing your arrangements for ballet of all this music, and then when you do, you hear it on the radio, it's jarring.
Are you done with the questions yet, or is it still more grilling?
No, this is more grilling for you, Chris.
Holy.
Yeah.
How many times did you turn up to the rehearsals without practicing and had to be so nervous, but couldn't show your nervousness?
You do a really good impression of my wife.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I used to do it often. I'm a little bit better now at practicing and learning the stuff I'm meant to play. Why are you looking at me, wife?
Well, once you said that, you're meant to practice behind the piano, Akiko.
Well, yeah, depending on what you're learning, there's so much time when you're going to go, okay, right, we're going to teach this from scratch. So what you're going to do, you're going to sit there for an hour and do nothing? Well, you just use that time to practice. You've been paid for it.
Yeah.
Stick the quiet pedal down, stick the middle pedal down and practice. The problem is then when somebody will go, okay, we will just listen to how
music,
Chris will interpret this before we start learning this.
Yes.
Just, oh, really?
You're going to listen to me sight read this?
Yeah,
now?
third act.
Go through.
Third act, Sleeping Beauty pod. I mean, bless him. Rest in peace. Errol did this on a summer course a long time ago. He didn't tell me what the rep was, and Rox was like, oh, what is it? And we'd been out the night before. It was third act, Sleeping Beauty pod, which is in the fingers, but it not been played for 5 years. And he looked at me and he winked and said, so, boys and girls on the course, Chris is going to play this for us, and I just want you to imagine how it will feel to dance this grand pas de deux.
Did he do it on purpose?
He did it on purpose, and then bloody folded his arms, smiled, he went, and maestro, thank you. I was like, oh, you get. So yeah, I used to do it often, but I try and be better now.
Okay. When is the next CD going to be released?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Is that the Ballet Piano Podcast CD, which is still available online from iTunes, Amazon, Google, etc., all the music providers and Spotify, or my own personal CDs, which are Modern Ballet Studio Melodies?
Well, both. So Ballet Piano Podcast.
You couldn't have got more of the microphone in your mouth then. Is this because we need to pay for the baby care?
Yes.
Soon. Is that the answer?
Yeah, this year.
This year just started.
Shh.
I think that's all the questions that I can ask. Have you ever sleep talked any ballet words?
I know I have because I can see the look that my wife gives me. But because, right, so I'm diabetic and I have this little scanny thing on my arm, which Akiko scans in the middle of the night just to make sure that I'm not having a hypo or a hyper. And one night Akiko scanned it and I sleep quite deeply. I'm not great at waking up. And apparently in my sleep, I looked at Akiko one night and I just went, articulation and sushi.
Yeah.
But have I done Bollywood? I don't know. You'll know.
Not Bollywood, but you did say articulation.
And sushi.
And once I actually, your sugar level was a bit high. So I kind of tried to wake you up and said, do you need to put insulin? And then you got annoyed and he said, no, I would do it. What you just shouted at. So I was like, what did I shout it at? And he said, the Ballet Piano Podcast thing. So I was like, okay then, good luck.
I love this podcast. Is that it? You're scanning through. I know there's some of them I won't have a job if you ask me the question.
I'll ask this one. What is it like being married to another ballet pianist? This is for you two.
Matt, it could also be for me and you as well.
We are sort of married.
The amount of voice notes we share with each other.
Oh, you guys communicate more often than me and my husband do.
It's always me sending eye-rolling emojis to Chris, though. Yeah.
Hi, love. Morning, love.
I don't know, being married to another ballet pianist, I think you can offload your stress easier after the day because you're both in the same profession. So you can get through the BS of the working day a little bit quicker, or the enjoyment of the working day a little bit quicker.
But
And
harder to get away from it.
But it's harder to get away from it because sometimes we'll sit at the dining table where we're all sat now at 10:30 at night, and then we'll randomly start talking about whatever's happening the next day or something.
Yeah.
So there's no real escape, is there?
No.
But it's okay.
And then I don't like the fact that my husband keep nicking my tune.
Well, you also
putting on his CD.
Well, you also play the tunes in the wrong key as well. Missy said, I've got perfect pitch. I'm going to play it in B flat instead of A flat. Is that because you're being clever? Or
because I can.
We sound like this is like bloody marriage counselling for us, don't we? Right.
I think we've exhausted all the
I think it's time to go before divorce proceedings start. Right. We'll be back next week with something amazing for you. Lots of love from me, Chris Hobson. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.